Imagine that you are stuck in one of the worst conditions possible for a human being to live in. Imagine how it would feel to be utterly helpless, to have no end in sight and have no hope. Why would you want to go on in such a situation? How can you even find the will to go on? This is what Victor Frankl was forced to confront when he was in a concentration camp during the Holocaust in the 1940s. He was living under brutal conditions and every basic human right was stripped away from him. He did not know about the safety of his family members and the odds of survival were extremely low, 1 in 28 to be exact. And in spite of living in these conditions, he found a meaning to his life. And that is astonishing, and it is certainly something that we can learn from. Now, most of us have never faced such brutality in our lives, and hopefully we won't ever have to. But we do deal with our own problems in our lives on a much smaller scale. And if you're an intellectual, which if you're watching this video, you probably are, you must have at some point pondered the meaning of your life. I'll tell you my story. When I was in my late teens, I became an iconoclast and was an anti-establishment kind of person in every sense of the term. I became disillusioned with religion and did not know how to cope with that. Religion was the only thing that had given context and meaning to my life so far. And once I had that taken away from me because of my existential crisis, I was no longer able to function properly. I could not sleep properly. I didn't want to participate in anything in life because all I kept thinking about was, what's the point of this if we're all going to die anyway? I simply could not see how I could find meaning in my life when I was going to wither away and become food for worms. All in all, I was not happy. And what made me more unhappy was the fact that everyone else expected me to be happy. Well, I never got over my gripe with religion, but something amazing happened instead. Here's how I began to think. And this is what Victor Frankl tells us in the book. Happiness cannot be pursued. It can only ensue. You cannot chase happiness because it's simply a mirage. However, when you begin to actually live your life with purpose and with meaning, it ensues on its own. And this is something I need you to realize. And if you take anything from this video, it's this. Life is not something that inherently has meaning. It's something that we give meaning to. I repeat, life is not something that has inherent meaning. It's something that we give meaning to. Some people give meaning to their lives using religion, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have a religion, then you have to find some other way to give your life meaning. Victor Frankl talks about a phenomena that used to occur in the concentration camps, and it's called give-up-itis. The second a man would give up and think that his suffering had no meaning, the light would flash out of his eyes and he would die very soon. A big reason why Victor was able to survive himself was because he had given meaning to his suffering. He was a psychiatrist before the Holocaust, and he would think about how he could share his own experience that he was going through right now after he got out. He used to think about writing this very book and sharing these exact ideas, and that gave his life meaning. In the concentration camps, whoever had a stronger why had more chances of surviving. The main takeaway from the book is, in life, you're going to face many situations that are out of your control. So when you cannot change the situation, you have to change yourself. You have to strive to take responsibility, and instead of wondering whether or not your life has a meaning, start to give it meaning. You cannot control whatever happens in your life, no matter how powerful you are, yet you can always control your attitude towards the situation. And don't get me wrong, you may have suffered way more than I can ever imagine. You have every right to complain about your situation and your life. I mean that sincerely. But here's the thing. My sympathy and the entire world's sympathy is not going to make you feel any better. The only thing that will make you feel better is giving meaning to your life. Only then will happiness ensue. So the question then remains, how do we find meaning in our lives? According to the author, there are 3 ways in which we can find meaning in our lives: work, love, and suffering. A lot of people find meaning in their work, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a huge part of how I give meaning to my own life is through this YouTube channel. This is my work. A lot of people find meaning through love. It could be love for their children or a romantic partner. According to Victor Frankl, love is the highest goal a man can aspire to, and I don't disagree with that. If you've experienced love, you know that it's a divine feeling that can make you reconsider your entire view of the world. The right kind of love can turn a whole person's life around. Victor was able to survive the concentration camp because he kept thinking about his wife. His love for her was so pure and divine that it didn't even matter if she was alive. All that mattered was that he had that love. We cannot always control what kind of work we get to do, and we cannot always be in love. However, there is one thing that is guaranteed in life, and that is suffering. At one point or another, you will suffer. Suffering is inevitable, and the sooner you make peace with this fact, the better. And here's the best part. Giving meaning to your suffering is the most superior way of giving your life meaning. Now, just to be clear, you should not suffer intentionally. That's not heroic, it's masochistic. Your priority should always be to eliminate or decrease the suffering. But for those moments when you cannot remove suffering and you have to endure, that's when you give your suffering meaning. And that's how you get the strength to go on. The author tells us that in the concentration camps, everyone was wondering, will we survive this concentration camp? Because if we don't, then all this suffering has no meaning. Now, Victor Frankl tells us to think about it this way. Suffering has to have meaning, irrespective of survival. Because if it doesn't, then there is no point in survival in the first place. Because a life whose meaning depends on such happenstance like survival ultimately has no meaning at all. In life, you have to find the most resourceful point of view for your journey. If you're a pessimist and you don't like finding any meaning in your life, then that's your prerogative. But ask yourself this, is that what you really want? Because if you want a different outcome, then you're going to have to start thinking in a different way. You have to learn how to turn tragedy into triumph. That's how you give meaning to your life to the very end. Thank you for watching this video and for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. I really appreciate your support. Also, as a way to give back, I'll try to help you with whatever problem you're facing right now. So please leave a comment about whatever it is that I can help you with, and I'll be sure to reply to each one. If you'd like to support my channel, I just launched a new t-shirt on Teespring which you can check out right here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.